Hello and welcome to Old Lady Plays. I'm Kate, the old lady, and this is Advanced Squad Leader. ASL Scenario A, the guards counterattack. German, turn 3. Let's get right into this because things have been kind of exciting and I'm a little breathless. So, let's start with a dice roll, I should say, for wind change. Always the first thing we do. Missed it by that much. Need a 2 to make it change, so no. Now it's the German turn, so we have first a self-rally. So we'll have this guy down here in F8 try to self-rally first. He's not under desperation morale, so he's basically got a chance of an 8 or better. 8 or better. There you go. He's absolutely rallied himself. Yep, I just wanted to make sure that it was in fact true. He does in fact self-rally, so that's good for him. And we're going to move on and do some of his other rallies now. Does he have any other rallies? Yes. Up here in K4, we have at least one broken unit, I know that. So let's have a look. Indeed, there is a unit in there with broken morale, but he's under desperation morale, so that's why I didn't want to try and rally him. That's the only rallies that the Germans have to do, so we can move past that. The other thing that the Germans need to do is roll for this machine gun in J4, so let's try a repair roll. Okay, so we have one die. We're ready to roll it for the repair of the machine gun. It does not repair, but neither does it break, so permanently. So that's okay. And secondly, we can start with the Russians, who have one repair of their own to make, but they can't make it because their unit is not in good order. It's also broken, so because it's broken, it can't do a repair attempt. So no luck there. Meanwhile, over here with the commissar in N4, we've got 2 units that need rally. They're under desperation morale, but commissars get to ignore that. Their morale is up 1 because they're stacked with a commissar. So it's an 8. And he has no leadership modifier, so it's just a straight up 8 roll. Let's just quickly try that. We got... what? That's not right. Oh, there it is. Okay. So it's a straight up roll. We need an 8 or better for both. Hold on a second. Okay, sorry. I had completely forgotten that, in fact, one of those guys in there has only a 4 broken side morale, and the other has a 5 broken side morale. So that's what they need to rally, except it's up 1. So it's 5 for the 4 and 6 for the 5. So from the bottom up, let's try it. 1 fails, and the other fails. Okay, so they both fail, but that is not a good thing when the commissar is in town. So both of these units will be replaced. So let me take them out and we'll figure out what to get replaced with. Okay, having read up on the commissar, when the commissar tries to rally you, you will rally. It's not an option. So the crew with, the half squad with a 4 broken side morale, they did not pass their test, but they're conscripts and they're a half squad, so there's no way to reduce them anymore. They are eliminated. Next, we have, now that's a little weird. Oh, I see, because it's a full squad. Next, we have a full squad, which is replaced by the next lower quality unit of its size, but it's already a conscript. So if it's already the lowest quality, the squad is casualty reduced, which means it's going to be a new half squad. So we've got 1 half squad in there now instead of 2 broken squads, or a broken squad and a broken half squad. So here we go. I'm going to put the half squad back in place. When the commissar says rally, you will rally. And that's when it gets ugly. So that's going to do it for that turn as far as hold on, one thing to check out. Alright, so the other thing we're going to do in this rally phase is the Russians in G6 right here are going to try and grab the machine gun that was left lying around by the Germans who routed. So, not who routed, who were eliminated. So hang on a second, let's have a look at that machine gun. Okay, so no, he will recover the machine gun if he rolls a 5 or better on the one die. So, or a 5 or less on one die. Oh. 5 it is, so they do in fact recover the machine gun. It's still broken, but they have it now. So that's something anyway. DM markers come off. So let me deal with that. Oh, I know. Hang on. Sorry, there was one more thing for the Russians to do. The 10-2 has a couple of guys who need to rally as well. And we will roll for... The 10-2 is going to try and rally the 2 guys that are in the hex with him. They are both 6-8s, so they've got 8 morale. He's got a -2, so they need a 10, but they're under desperation morale, so they need a 6. Alright, a 6 or better to rally the first unit. Nope. And a 6 or better to rally the second unit. Yes. So one rallies, one does not. So there you go. Didn't manage to get the rallies, all of them, but we did get some. Next, let's have a look. I think it's time for the prep fire phase for the Germans. And we just might have some prep fire for sure. Yep. Let's see what we can do here. The reason I'm not taking away the DM marker from H4 is because they're voluntarily keeping it so that they can keep routing, because otherwise they're stopped in the middle of the road, and that's not a good place to hang out. So they will keep their desperation morale and move on in the route phase. We are in the prep fire phase. Let's figure out what prep fire we're going to do here. We're going to take this stack right here in I7, and I'm just going to open it up so you can see what's in it. Okay, there you go. You can see what's in it now. We've got 2 4.67s. We've got 2 light machine guns and 2 squads for a total of 14 firepower and a -2 leader. So I think what we're going to do is fire at the guys in H5 right across the street and see if we can get some breakage on those guys, because I think that would be a most useful possibility. We don't want them trying to take the stone building in the center, so that's pretty important. Let's do it. We have a 12 up 1 shot. So 12 up 1, let's have a go. And on the 12 chart we've got a 4 which goes to a 5. Okay, on the 12 chart, a 5 is a 2MC. That's pretty harsh. Let's see what we can get out of that. We've got 2 units in there. They're both 8 morale, so they need to get a 6 or better to pass. So here's the first try. Failed. And the next one? Passed. Alright, so one is broken, one is not. Okay, anyway, I think... And the problem here is that I don't remember. What did I roll for the initial attack? I know it was a 4, but was it a red 1 and a white 3? Or the other way around? Because it matters, because if it was a red 1, then these guys retained rate of fire on the machine guns and could take another shot. But if it was a red 3, then they didn't retain rate of fire and they cannot take another shot. I don't know which one it was. So, in the interest of just making it as fair as I can possibly be, we will roll 1 die. The black die here, we will choose 1, 2, 3. They retained rate. 4, 5, 6, they did not. They did not. Okay? So, that's settled. They didn't retain rate. I don't remember which it was, and I can't stop the video to go back and look because technical. Prep fired. Now... the guys in the factory in the middle, the building in the middle, are going to fire on the 10-2 leader in H3 as a big fire group. So we've got, well, let's see what's in them. We're going to get these guys to give it a go anyway, but they've got a walloping 6 down or up 2 shot because the machine gun is broken, the other guy is guarding prisoners, and in the K4 hex the other squad is carrying the machine gun. So 6 up 2. Let's roll it. Oh, that was so close to getting the snake eyes. But 6 up 2, that's going to be a 9, which just misses. Actually, that's a much better idea. Okay, so the wounded leader here in L6 will fire his machine gun with his squad at N5, which is the lone 447 squad there. And what has he got in his stack? There is one medium machine gun, which has 5 firepower, and a squad 4 firepower. The machine gun has a rate of fire of 2. That means if I get a 2 or less on the colored die, he gets to fire it again. So first, let's take this shot. We're going 8 up 3. Not a great shot, but it's got a chance. Ooh, baby. That's gonna do something nasty. 8 up 3, that's a 5. So 2, 3, 4, 5 is a 2 MC. Alright, the Russians in N5 will take their morale check, and it will be, they need a 5 or better to pass it. And they do. My goodness, they actually passed it. So they survived that fire. Let's see what else we've got. I think we're going to take one more shot. As you can see in this hex right here, we have 3 squads and 2 light machine guns. I'm going to fire the squad in the heavy machine gun. That's what I'm going to fire. The squad in the heavy machine gun will fire with the direction of the leader on N5. Okay, there's a prep fire marker in there, that's why. Unfortunately, the heavy machine gun does not make it up to the 12 chart, which is a shame because that would have been better than the 8 chart, which is where they're going to end up. It's got a 7 firepower plus the 4 from the squad and a -1, so it's up 2. So we're on the 8 up 2. That's our shot. Let's take it. 8 up 2. It doesn't cower because the leader is directing it. It does get rid of fire. And oh, so did the other guy. The medium machine gun retained rate on the first shot, so it can fire again. The squad's firepower doesn't get to be used again, but the machine gun does. So it's going to be on the 4 chart. They've got a shot at the same guy, N5. Ooh, and on the 4 chart up 3, they've got a 6, which I think is just a pin task check. It is a pin task check, so let's just see whether we pin them or not. A 7 or less, and they're fine. They are pinned. Mostly it means they are halved, their firepower is halved for the rest of the... Let's get ready. Oh, sorry, I've got one more prep fire to mark. We did not keep rate on that final shot. They have fired. Now, in this stack here, in M7, there's a squad and a heavy machine gun that will fire with an 8-1 leader at the same guys in N5, and we're trying to see if we can break them for good. So it's an 8 up 2 shot. Let's try it. That's not going to do anything. Alright, so, and it doesn't retain rate, so that's prep fired. That leaves us with 2 squads, one of them carrying a submachine or a light machine gun in that hex who have not fired. I've already marked the prep fire on that. So that's done. There's no more prep fire. That's all the prep fire there is. Let's move on to the movement phase. This is where things get exciting. Right, time for the Germans to start their counterattack. Now, the victory conditions for this scenario say that the Russians have to control 2 more buildings at the end, stone buildings at the end, than they did at the start. So far they've got 1, that's this one up here, And the one in the center is in kind of risk. There's a lot of units gathered around it ready to roll in and see if they can take it away from them. So one thing the Germans can do is what they're about to do, which is try and take, or at least contest control of one of the Russians' buildings. So that's what we're going to do. First off, we've got one squad that's going to move out into the street at N6 with an assault move. So let's do that. So they have moved out into the street with an assault move. The guys right next to them can fire. They have a defensive first fire opportunity here. They have halved firepower, so they're starting from a base of 2. It's doubled to 4 because of the point blank fire. And it's -1 for movement in the open, but not -1 for non-assault movement because they did assault move. So it's 4 down 1. Alright, that's where we are. We're on the 4 chart, down 1, meaning we need a 6 or better to get a morale check. 6 or better to get a morale check on these Germans. And they did. The Germans will have to take a morale check. 6 or better, that's 5. Down 1 is 4, which is actually a 1 MC. So the Germans will have to take a 1 MC here, a 6 or better to survive it unbroken. And they do. So there we go. They're fine. Well, first we've got a residual firepower marker to lay down, so let's put that in there. Okay, so they've had 2 residual firepower left in that spot. And that's going to do it for that German's move. He's done. There's nobody else who can shoot at him. Well, I mean, there are Germans who could shoot at him, but they're not going to do that. So let's just move on. Subsequently, we have 2 guys. Hold on, so let me mark these guys. Defensive first fire. Okay, so they have in fact first fired and had no effect. We've got another squad in the same hex, M7, who's going to come out and move into the center of the road. Again, assault movement. He's going out to M6 to avoid the residual firepower. So we've got that squad out there. This guy can in fact fire and pretty much has to. Because he is subsequent firing, he will have a 2, half his firepower again. So he starts with 4. It's halved for being pinned. It's halved again down to 1 for subsequent fire. And then it's doubled for point blank to 2. So it's a 2 minus 1 shot. So it's actually still a pretty decent shot. But we're down to the squeaky parts here. That's a 7, which is not going to get it. So no effect. He's marked final fire. The question remains, do I want to do any more movement with Germans? There is 1 squad left, the one in F8 that self-rallied this turn. Could theoretically move, but does he want to? I think I'm going to keep him right where he is because he cut some route paths where he is, and I think that's kind of useful. So we're going to see about that. That, I think, is what we're going to do. He's going to stay put. That's the end of the movement phase. Let's get rid of the residual firepower marker. The reason, by the way, that the turn sequence is colored, each of the segments in the turn sequence indicator, the reason they're colored is because the different phases have different times when they take markers off. So when a phase ends, if it has the color marking, if it has the color of that marker, then you take it off. So green markers come off at the end of the move phase because it's green. So residual firepower comes off at the end of the move phase. Then we move on to defensive fire, which we're doing now. Now we have a bit of a problem. Tricky bit. We're going to fire, yes, we will make a multi-hex fire group with the guys in this building here, making H5, G6, and F6. Between the units that we have there, we have 1 628 in H5, we have 2 628s in G6, And we have another one in F6, but he's out of range, so it's actually going to half. So we've got 6, 6, 6, and 3 for a total of 21 firepower. So it's a 20, but it's up 3. So it's on the 20 chart, but it's up 3. Let's give it a try and see what they can do. They're firing on I7, of course, the big stack, and see whether they can do some damage to it. And it's going to do some damage. 4 up 3 is 7. 7 will be a 2MC on the chart. So let's have a look at what's in that stack, and then we'll go through it, making roll. There's your units that are in there. We start with the leader, who has to pass the check first. So he needs a 7 or better to pass. He can't use his own morale. He can't use his leadership modifier to modify his own morale check. So here we go. He needs a 7 or better. And 7 is exactly what he got, which I think means he's pinned. Yes, he's pinned. But pinning does not cause more morale checks, so that's okay. He does get to use his leadership modifier to help the other units, so their 2MC is balanced out by his -2 leadership modifier, and we're going to get a 7 needed for one squad. 2 heat of battle. They're gonna do something wild. So that one's gonna hob. We'll deal with that in just a second. I want to make the other roll before we go back and deal with the hob. So here is the other roll. It does not work. They broke. So let's break them. Right. So now we find out what happened to the one that got hobbed. Let's find out. An original die roll of 2 is called heat of battle. And what it does, here it is. I'll put this chart up on the screen. They are, let's see, they're German, so no modifiers for that. They're first line, so no modifiers for that. That's it. There's no modifiers. So it's just a straight up 2 dice roll to see what happens to them. 8, battle hardening. Alright, battle hardening means that they get better. Instead of being a 4-6-7, they're going to become elite, which makes them a 4-6-8. Alright, so there's the results of that fire, which was pretty impressive, really. We broke 1 unit, battle hardened another into an elite unit, and pinned the leader. So, some interesting stuff there. We'll see what happens. Let's pile it back up. Alright. That's it for that. Defensive fire, let me mark them as fired. There we go. Now, what else do we have who could fire? There's only one other Russian who could fire on the board, and he is in H3 here with the 10-2 leader. And I think he's going to do something a little nasty by firing on the stack in J4. I call it nasty because there's prisoners in that hex, but we're going to fire on them anyway. So hold on a second. Right, the last bit of defensive fire we have is up here in M3, where we're going to fire on, sorry, not M3, I can't read it, H3, and we're going to fire on J4. Alright, so H3 firing on J4, there's 1 squad in there with 6 firepower and a -2 leader, so it's a 6 plus 1 shot. Roll it out. 6 plus 1 shot, that's a 7 on the 6 plus 1 on the 6 chart, so that's a normal morale check for everybody in that location. It's also a sniper activation of the German sniper, so that's got to be dealt with after that. So first we're going to do the morale checks of everybody in the location. Let's open the stack up so we can see what's going on. Alright, as you can see, we've got a prep fire marker, 2 half squads, 1 squad of prisoners, and 1 squad and 1 broken machine gun. So we will take, let's have the prisoners take the morale check first. They fail it, which means they casualty reduce. So we killed half the prisoners. And we've got 2 units there. They're both first line, They've got a 7 morale. It's a normal morale check. Let's try them. First the guards. The prisoners' guards, I mean. And they fail it. And then the other guys also fail. So both of those units failed the morale checks. Okay, the Germans in that hex are broken. And this guy has first fired. That's the end of that, I think. Actually, no, there is one more shot I want to take because we need to try and do our best here. Hold on a second, let's see what we've got. Yeah, I don't see any reason not to. The guys stacked with the commissar here in N4 will take a shot at K4. It's going to be on the 4 chart, and it's going to be up 3, so it's not a very good shot. Oh wait, no further. We have a sniper to resolve. My mistake. Let's deal with the sniper. The German sniper moves from H3. Where does it move? Direction and distance. 5 and 4. So it's direction 5, which is down and left, and it's going to move 4 hexes to D5. Now it moves to the nearest Russian unit, which is this one here in F6. And in F6, it will cause pins MMC. Yes, so they are pinned. And being that it's now the end of the defensive fire phase, I will remove all the defensive fire markers. So let's take them off. There is one last defensive fire. I should have done this before I took the markers off, but it's okay because it's the last one. We have a conscript half squad and a 447 in N4. They're going to fire on K4. Let's take the roll. A 7. It's on the 4 chart. I don't think that's going anywhere. 7 on the 4 chart is a pin task check. They'll be pinned, but I don't see that that's going to make any difference at all. So no, it won't make any difference at all. So we won't even bother rolling for it. No, sorry, we will roll for it because it's possible sniper bait. So we'll roll for the pin task check on the unbroken squad in K4. He does not, he pins. But again, I don't think it makes any difference, and he didn't activate the sniper, so we're okay. That's going to do it for defensive fire. Let's move on. Advancing fire. Now, advancing fire can only be taken by anybody not marked with a prep fire marker. So we've got 2 guys in that circumstance, and they are out in the street at N6 and M6, and they might as well combine. No, they might as well not. So they're not going to combine into a fire group. They're going to do advancing fire is halved, so we'll start with N6. His shot is going to be halved for advancing fire and doubled for point blank, so it's a 4 up 3. Let's take that shot. 4 up 3, that's going to be an 8. That will do nothing. And the other guy has a machine gun, so he has 7 halved to 3.5, then double the gain for point blank fire, which brings it back to 7. It's on the 6 chart. 6 up 3. Let's see what he gets. A 12 will do nothing. So that's it for advancing fire. I don't see any reason to fire anybody else. They're all in pretty good shape. So that's it for advancing fire. Let's move on. Oh, sorry, advancing fire over. That means we take off the prep fire markers. Hold on. No, it's not it. We should have a desperation morale marker in this hex too. Here in K4 there has to be another desperation morale. Now I'm going to put the squad back on top of it so you can see that. So things not looking good for the Germans in the factory in the center, having only 1 squad left that's not broken. It's going to be tight. We have the advance phase, so let's move on to the advance. Oh, and sorry, no, route phase first. Route phase first. This stack here will move from J4 to K5. And you might be wondering why I would do that. The reason is because K5 is a place where they won't be able to be shot at. and not being able to be shot at, they can get rid of desperation morale, they might be able to self-rally. So that's the idea anyway. So the rout happens. Trying to decide whether to rout the other guys with them as well. Alright, the other guys are going to rout from K4 as well. So we get a nice big stack of brokies there, as well as some prisoners, and what a mess. But that's going to do it for the rout phase. No, it won't. We've got one more rout to do. The guys in H4 will rout onwards to join their leader. So they have moved up to H3. The broken unit in H5 will rout back to G4. That's the end of the rout phase. I think there's nobody else that needs to move from where they are. No. Alright. Nobody got broke in the street, so we're good. We're good. We're good. Let's move on to the advance phase. And this is where things start to get a little exciting, because we're going to move in for a little more close combat. You know it's coming. You know it's here. Here we go. Moving in. From N6 and M6, we will move into N5 and attempt some close combat. Let's go. There, we've got that moved in. Now we're done with the advance phase, because I don't see anybody else who needs to move. Yes, I do. I do see one more that needs to move. The guy from K4 will move up to J4 to try and put some resistance still on that side of the building for trying to keep the Russians out of that center building. It's tight. I honestly don't know which way this scenario is going to go at this point. It's going to be close one way or the other. But the Germans have now contested one of the Russians' buildings, so things are going to get a little weird up there too. Now we have close combat. It's time for close combat. First we have the ambush table, so let's check that out first. Nobody here is stealthy. Nobody's concealed. Nobody's got leadership. They're not lax or berserk. One side is pinned. That's a +1 for them. And that's it. So the Russians have a +1. The Germans have a flat roll. So red die for the Russians, white die for the Germans. We're checking for ambush here. Red die for the Russians is going to be a 6, and the Germans get a 1, which means the Germans ambush the Russians in this particular case. And that's very bad for the Russians, because it means that instead of being simultaneous, the close combat is now sequential, which means that those two 4, 6, 7s get to take their shot at the 4, 4, 7 on the 2-to-1 chart before, and see how that is resolved before the Russians get to shoot back. So let's try it. 7 or better and the Russians are eliminated, and there's no attack back because they were ambushed. Okay, after that result, I think that the Germans are in much better shape. They made it into the building. They've got some strength there. The Russians have little. I think this scenario is now over. We're going to keep playing it out, but I think as far as the victory conditions are concerned, this one is now over. And if I were playing one side alone, I would probably be considering a concession at this point. Not yet, but maybe next turn. So it's pretty tight. That's the end of the turn, and there we go. That's the situation at the end of the turn. The German turn 3. So things have gotten kind of wild and hairy. I don't know. I honestly don't know. It's still possible that the Russians could do something here. Because there's not a lot of German resistance left outside the stacks in the two buildings to the south. So I don't know, but I do think at this point it's pretty favorable for the Germans. We'll have to see. Let's see what we get. And it's time to say the things I say at the end of the show, which is, I hope you enjoyed the episode. Thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate your time. I hope you have a great day, and take care.